Okay.
Ready?
Aloha, everybody. Welcome to Furuya Uncorked. Our two special guests this week, Bubba, the man, Kimo, the man, and of course, Kale.
How's it going, you guys? So yeah, I mean, we're very honored that you guys are giving us your time and being here with us this evening. Like we were just talking about while we were warming up and just talking story. These are the kind of shows that we really look forward to have. You know, for one, it's father and son, so that's special. And I mean, the preparation, you guys, for one, like to drink wine outside of just listening to the podcast. And then when we got ready to ask you guys to join us, you went back and watched all the past episodes. So I think that's cool, you know, and it's all about the pure enjoyment. Bubba's my boxing coach, and this is his father.
I wish you would think out of the box. But anyway.
And when he started following us on Instagram, he asked me one day in class, he's like, bro, what I like to drink wine. He's like, you know, I don't like to drink beer really or hard liquor. He's like, I like to drink wine. What should I start drinking? He's like, first of all, him and his girlfriend drink Fruscato. So he's like, what else should we be drinking? So ever since then, I've been bringing him a wine every week to class. I owe you 2 wines this week, by the way, because I forgot last week. But so that's the journey. And then his dad's been along there with him drinking the same thing. The family all drinks it now too.
That's cool. I think that's really great, you know. I mean, it's not about wine. It's just about, first of all, just enjoying something. You know, it's not wine shaming, you know, that you have to look for this wine or that wine now.
Well, we'll get to that topic a little later because it's getting to that point now for him.
But the other thing that I think is really important, as I was explaining to you before we went on air, you know, for me, the journey into wines, one of the most important aspects is I look for those that are family owned and operated and multi-generational. And then when it comes to Italy, France, and all that stuff, it's about indigenous grapes, not transplanted grapes, you know, and it's farmed sustainably, so it's a living vineyard. You know, the methodology of growing and winemaking is passed down through the generations. I think these are important values, whether you're talking about food, wine, whatever, playing ukulele, whatever. I think, you know, we as a human race need to embrace these things more. Otherwise, all we're going to have is all these, you know, it's like picking up a hotel from the Mediterranean and putting it in Hawaii. What does it have to do with Hawaii?
Yeah.
Picking up a restaurant from Pittsburgh and putting it in Hawaii. What does it have to do with Hawaii?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it may employ people, but I'm not saying that we shouldn't have these, but isn't there room for more, for both? And if so, you know, how do we make sure that the small guys don't get lost? Right? That's what this is more about to me on that level, you know, as you explore.
So before we continue and start to like taste this wine, maybe if you guys want to talk about yourselves a little bit and introduce. Start with you, Bubba.
That can go first.
Go on.
So, I was an iron worker for 14 years.
Just got to talk right into this.
And then I was an iron worker for 14 years. And then when my youngest kids, twins, graduated, I left because I guess I seen a lot of foremans, co-workers not get to enjoy life, short lifespan. It's not an easy job. It's a tough job, climbing high-rise buildings, throwing down metal all day long. And then in construction, I started a security company. So we're going on 24 years of taking care of the WSL, which is the best surfers in the world. So for me to come on here with my son and be with you guys, it actually helps me because I know a lot of the surfers and a lot of the younger generation, they actually drink wine. But
does he know our son-in-law?
Guarantee.
Yeah.
He knows Freddie.
I know Freddie P really well.
Oh, yeah, right on.
He's a new Quicksilver guy.
Yeah.
So not only do I work for the WSL Hawaii, I also take care of all the companies: Quicksilver, Volcom, Rip Curl, Billabong, you name it, Ruka. I take care of all of them when they come to Hawaii. And kind of like what you just was talking about, it's like you can have these big companies, but they just put it here. But where does the mom and pop, where does the locals fit in to what you bring into the table?
Yeah.
And so, you know, So yeah, that's what I do, and then that's pretty much all I do right now. Other than we do have a tour company called Kanaka Solutions slash JTB Tours. We do Japanese tours on the west side when the COVID's up. Hopefully, Japan will cut off the 14-day quarantine when they return back to Japan. And actually, right now, me and my wife, we're just living life and enjoying our kids.
Good for you.
Nothing's promised, right? So
Yeah.
nothing's promised. So, and that's kind of why I wanted to do my own thing once they graduated and just enjoy life. Get up every day, watch them grow. Myself and my wife. I mean, I've been with her since I was 15 years old.
Wow.
So her and I have been together a long time, and it's she gotta enjoy. I mean, too many
15 years old. So that means Abraham
53.
Lincoln was
Well, and now you get to come to like town 3 days a week to watch Bubba train.
Yeah,
And,
and then meet. I mean, so here's the thing with that. Coming out to Kahala, I told him, bro, he's like, I don't know about the people out there. I was like, bro, you can get out of your box, out of your square. You can meet great people. You can be able to get a new network. I mean, they live totally different. People outside of Kapolei live totally different from the lifestyle that we live every day, right? We're just a bunch of simple people who not too much worried about tomorrow, just enjoy today, today, right? Because tomorrow's not guaranteed. And and then when it comes to wine, I watched a podcast of your dad, and I was like, he's like, you don't have to buy a big expensive bottle. This bottle is like $14, and they was like, what? Like, yeah, this thing's $14.
Yeah.
So just educating yourself on the type of wines, and it's pretty cool because this guy likes to drink wine. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Is it this guy or is it that girl?
It's both of us. It's both of us.
Might
But
be.
me more.
all of that came from their mommy.
Your turn, Bubs.
I'm Kobe, but my nickname is Bubba.
Kobe?
Kobe.
Kobe? Like Kobe Bryant?
That's what he's
Serious?
Same spelling,
That's what he's
everything.
named
Same
after.
spelling.
No way.
He's named
Wow.
after Kobe Bryant.
Killer.
I thought you were going to be like Kobe Steak.
Kobe Steakhouse. Okay. But I am my dad's second favorite child. My oldest, but the first one goes to the oldest sister. But me and my dad, we spent a lot of time together. I'm just happy that, I don't know anybody else that gets to do this. Like, look, I brought my whole family. I brought my dad. I brought my mom. I brought my girlfriend. So I'm just super happy that I have a close knit family. I'm actually a twin.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm the youngest. I have two girls. So
Oh, so you're, what do you call it when they're...
Spoiled.
Taken care of. Yeah. Me too, bro. Me too. No way.
what is the word when we don't look alike?
Not identical. What's the other one?
Paternal, huh?
Fraternal.
Fraternal, yeah.
And my sister, I am actually the smallest out of my family.
Really?
I got gypped.
I got Jim.
My height, the weight, that all went to my other siblings. So
And he's
Hey.
a professional MMA fighter. So the
amateur.
amateur
Yeah.
MMA fighter.
So you're the smallest?
I'm the smallest.
Don't get short with me, okay?
I think it's cool though, the fact that that first time that you asked me what kind of wines you should be drinking, that somebody that fights for a living is like down to drink wines. And then I was talking to you guys about it earlier. I think like what's interesting about this podcast, besides father and son and whatnot, is the preparation that you help him take and that he's taking to get to where you want to be is very similar with the same preparation that we see like Ariana or these young sommeliers trying to get to where my dad is if you're trying to like, there's a lot of correlation between studying wine and martial arts. If you want to talk about what you do on your day-to-day when you are training hard for something, this guy trains 3 times a day. Even when he's not training, he gets up at 5 a.m. and goes to Kahala by 6 a.m. to train us 5 times a week, and he's 21 years old, So, I think that dedication is super important, and which is where a lot of this synergy is for me.
Yeah, I've been doing this for maybe since I was 9. Just a little backstory on how I got started is that my uncle, I used to live with my auntie and my uncle back in Macau because my 2 older sisters, they went Kumamel. And then I didn't get in, but I didn't want to go. That's the whole thing with that one. I didn't like private school. I went probably maybe up till third grade, and then I just woke up one morning and said, this not me. It's not me. I don't like dressing up. I just didn't like how that someone telling you what to do, and like you have to dress a certain way, act a certain way. I didn't feel like myself, so I think by fourth grade I finally moved back home, moved with my auntie and my uncle, and then I was kind of by myself. Because my parents dad was gone by 4:30 in the morning. Mom had to wake up, take my sister to school. So by the time I woke up, nobody was home. So
they were living in Waianae and driving all the way to Kamehameha every day?
every day.
Well, they live in Waianae and they drive into Kahala 5 times a week.
Yeah, but if you're going there at 6:30 or 6 o'clock, there's no traffic.
Yeah.
Really. I'm just talking about school-wise. You're right in the
School-wise,
middle of it, man.
Yeah, this guy was pretty much by himself since he was really, really young. Catching the bus home. Moms would always try and have some food ready for him so he can just put in the microwave, eat until we get home.
Sometimes it would be like total opposites. They would come home, I would be sleeping. I would come home after training, they would be sleeping. So we would barely catch each other. So the cool thing about honestly like this whole COVID and quarantine situation is that this is probably the first time in like a long time we've all kind of been together in the same house, because we're so busy with our schedule. Yeah. He's gone most of the time because he's working. I'm training. My sister's, when she wasn't going to college in Wyoming, which is like really far, she was gone most of the year. And then my older sister was just working all the time. So like, if there's one thing out of quarantine that came out was just
more family time.
That's a good story.
Yeah, just getting back with each other. Like, I think the first 2 days of quarantine was like the first time we didn't do anything, and we watched like 5 movies.
Yeah.
And we just shuffled through movies and we just did nothing. We
Slowed life down. I mean, similar with you and I mean, before that we started this podcast during COVID, and before then maybe we would talk like every 2-3 months, and now I call him like 5 times a day.
That's cool.
So
I did the same thing too when my dad was alive too. Every day, no matter, even when I went to college, every day. Every day before I got up and every day before I went to bed, I talked to him.
Yeah.
And just like him, every day my kids leave myself and my wife, they make sure they kiss us guys bye, because you never know. That might be the last time.
Do you know when your dad's going to call you?
Do I know, like, in my mind?
In your mind?
No, not there yet. Why, do you know?
I got 11 o'clock, and then I got maybe 3 o'clock, and then right before you go to bed at 6:30, maybe right there.
Are you in bed by 6:30?
I'm not in bed, but he just calls at 6:30.
I save my quarters.
I just like you, right? I was telling you, like, you wanted to move on to a different career, and then I watched a podcast of your dad, and I was like, bro, what are you doing, bro? You gotta get back over here by your dad, bro. This is meant for you to be, bro.
But this is what I want to focus on is this. We're trying to grow
cool.
this thing.
Yeah.
I think we got a lot going for us. I mean, we just got to build on it and get better and better.
The thing about it, is that, his mother's side of the family is very high profile. His grandfather was Buzz's Steakhouse, right? And his mother, Money or Mahialani, she's very outgoing and she's very well known, and she's, and then of course, for me, because I was restaurants and whatnot, I mean, a lot of people, all modesty aside, would know who I am. I think it's tough for a child to grow up under those circumstances, that you're always being compared to your parents or whatnot. So that's why I think it's very important for both Cully and Whitney to find their own way.
Whit's my sister. Yeah.
Yeah. To find, what drives their passion, and so I can't get caught up in the fact, even though there's 2 restaurants on both sides of the family, if he chooses not to work restaurants anymore, it's his life, man. There's nothing I can say, and so I think it's, I think it's good to work on a project like this because you have a bond, you have something to talk about, but at the same time, he can venture off and do whatever the heck he wants, right? Just like you. You train and everything that's very different than maybe what your parents did
We had that talk like a couple months ago. Yeah.
I think that's really good that you share something that's
common,
common,
yeah.
yes, that you can have conversations about, and you can build respect around that for each other, different takes. It doesn't have to be one way. I think that's good. I think that's healthy. So that's what this podcast kind of reminded me of when we started this whole thing. It's pretty cool.
I was laughing because on one podcast, your dad said you call or he'll call you and you guys go quiet for like 5 seconds. Nobody answered.
Finally, I'm like, hello? And he's like, hi. And then when we're getting ready to hang up, I'm usually driving, so I assume that he hangs up the phone. And I hear this, hang up the phone, like 15 seconds later. Bro, it's hilarious. Every
cool,
time.
bro.
Bro.
No, that's super cool. I just laugh. Honestly, I just laugh. I'm like, bro, that's super cool.
Yeah.
You only got one dad.
Yeah.
Honestly, you only got one dad. So.
And I'm kind of rascal, if you haven't
No,
gathered that
And
already.
intense, bro. You want to see intensity? That's intensity.
I go camping, intense.
But before we digress, let's break down this wine. Let's see what you guys think. I mean, one of the first conversations that you and I had was about that you were into wine and specifically that you were drinking Fruscato. So I think that's a very interesting journey because that's where a lot of people start their wine journey, right?
Yeah.
Is drinking stuff like that. And then they start to branch out and expand their palate. So this is a Moscato. Can you talk about what Moscato?
Well, let's hear what he says, and then we can talk about the wine
Okay.
later. I don't want to intimidate him with any kind of information or anything. So what do you enjoy about this wine? Why Moscato? Why Fruscato?
It's sweet and it kind of reminds me of a Sprite, flavor. So that's why I really enjoy it. There was this past wine that Kale gave me, and that one it reminded me of like sake and tequila, and I was like, we're not drinking this one alone. But then he told us specifically what we were supposed to eat it with, but then we didn't follow that. So I think that's where we kind of screwed up on our part.
It was a drier white. You won't
So,
say the name,
it's really interesting. I started out like that. Remember when I started out, one of the first wines I had was the Matus Rosé. It came in a bottle like this, squatty. And it was a rosé from Portugal. And there was another one in a clay bottle called Lancer's Rosé. That one had a little fizz to it. And even though I would consider them, looking back on that, knowing what I know today, they were very light and very casual wines. But back then, I thought it was alcoholic, and I didn't like it. I thought it was bitter and alcoholic. I didn't like it. But again, when you think about it, Scotch is an acquired taste. All these spirits, the people that shoot it, you see them make faces, it's an acquired taste. And so is wine. So naturally, if that's my reaction to a simple wine like Matus Rosé, then this wine will make it easier to transition into because it's lower alcohol. It's not 13-degree alcohol. It's not 12-degree alcohol. It's 8.5, something like that. So it's considerably less. And because the alcohol is down, that means that the fermentation was stopped, so they left some sugar inside. So you have slightly sweet, so it covers up everything, makes things more delicious, like a popsicle, like biting a cold apple, something like that. And you don't have the clash of the alcohol and the bitterness, right? That's why this is typically considered an entry wine for many people, that and German Rieslings, for that reason. So there's no shaming on this stuff. It's just that, this is your starting point. And then you'll see, as time goes on, you'll either want to try new things or you might just be enjoy. I know it's her decision, but I'm just saying. I know the hierarchy here. I know who's boss.
I think that is cool though that this is the journey and that we're being able to talk about that's the first time I've ever heard that those were the two wines that he first started with, were those
or two of the wines. So it's pretty interesting. And then the other thing that's interesting is that so when you talk about, what do you call it, Fruscato?
Fruscato.
Say
it proud.
I'm not trying to shame or anything like that. But, they're more like trying to make wines really accessible. Make it almost not be about wine, but more about like a sangria in Spain or like a wine cooler in Germany or spritzer in Germany.
Almost a cocktail, taking it as a cocktail.
But you're adding 7-Up or you're adding these things to make it so that this many people want to try it and enjoy it, right? So that's, to me, what the Fruscato category could be about. This is different. This is about a grape grown in a very special place. And so it has a different intent in its production.
I
So,
like learning that.
Huh?
Yeah, all the knowledge. I like learning that.
See? Yeah.
so I
mean,
told
he's
you.
dialed in right now.
So you enjoy it. It's delicious. It's light. It's like biting into a cold lychee, right?
Yeah.
It's very refreshing. You know, cold lychee on a hot summer's day is very refreshing. That's what that wine does. But the backstory on the wine, just to let you know, the grape variety is called Moscato. That's why it's called Moscato d'Asti. Okay, Moscato. So just to give you some background on this, depending on who you read, there's over somewhere between 800 and 10,000 different grape varieties available in the world. That's a chunk, right? So if you look at another fruit like mango, under the category of mango, you have Hayden mango, common mango, Piri mango, Chinese mango, to name 4. Even though they're all mangoes, they taste completely different, have different weights, textures, etc., right? Same is true with grapes.
Honestly, I don't eat mango, so I wouldn't know.
Or but anything.
I
you say,
definitely don't eat
apples or whatever. Yeah.
Well, she don't let you eat mango.
We have a mango tree outside, and I just don't.
Really?
You know what?
Then you got to branch out.
No, but- you know what's good? We have a dog tied to the tree. I don't feed the dog. The dog eats the mango. So right now he's vegan.
Hey, Bubba. So this grape is Moscato, right? And so it comes from the area of Asti. That's why it's called Moscato of Asti. Moscato d'Asti. Moscato of Asti. So that concept is kind of like the Kula onion. For whatever reason, the area of Kula on Maui results, they can grow a very special onion. Neighboring Makawao and the rest of Maui, for that matter, the onion is not as special. I don't know why, but I'm sure it has something to do with the soil. Similarly, this wine can only be made in one place like this, one general area, around the town of Asti. And I showed you the picture before we started. The rolling hills, you could see you can't see houses or civilization. It's very remote. This family's been doing it since 1900. Actually earlier, but the records show that they actually owned the land since 1900 and made the wine. So it's been passed down through the generations.
That's cool.
And you've had this wine before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is honestly, this was like, so the first time I ever used my license to like show that I was gonna buy something was for this wine.
You're only 21 years old.
Yeah.
That's pretty
That's cool that he's into it, you know? Yeah.
Before, like, I was trying to figure out where to buy this. I was telling my girlfriend, like, we're gonna come back like almost every week just to drink wine, and that's all we're gonna do. Just eat and drink wine.
Yeah.
And then we found it, so now we just. And you know what's the funny thing is that I went to the wine store, the one that you guys were talking about, and then
Fujioka's.
yeah, I think it was for a party or event.
It was
but then,
when her cousin was fighting.
oh yeah, it was for when her cousin fought. I walked in, and then I grabbed one bottle. The guy, I didn't know how to say the name, so I didn't even try. I gave myself a 3-minute limit to try and find the wine. I walked in, I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't want to ask. I didn't know how to translate it, so I just told the guy, "What is this?" And then the guy was like, "Oh, it's over there." So I grabbed one bottle, then he was just looking. I grabbed another bottle, he's still looking. And I walk out with 6. And then the guy's like, "You want to help?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, please." And then he goes, "Oh, big party, yeah." And I said, "Yeah." And then I got home, I was like, "Ma, the guys were just looking at me weird." And he goes, "Yeah, because people don't just go into the store to go buy 6 bottles of wine. It's not beer." I was like, "Oh, okay."
So one of the things that he talks about a lot is if you want to go on this kind of journey, you know, now that you guys are on here and you guys have a relationship, I mean, he always tells people to text him or FaceTime him when they're shopping for wines. But one of his big teachings lessons is to go to a specialty wine store like Fujioka's or Arfield in Kailua and form a relationship with the wine buyer where you're asking them what's new to try, or, you know, he always talks about something like that.
So like at Arfield Kailua, the 3 people that work there, including the manager, they used to work with us at Vino. So they know these kind of wines very well. You know, and Fujioka's has a really good sales team. Arfield, Aina Haina has a really, there's some stores out there. The point is that, you know, you just have to ask. You just tell them how much you want to spend, what kind of wine you're looking for, and then hopefully they can help you. Hey, Cully, can you talk to them? I want to get another wine. I don't want to interrupt this thing. I don't want to put this thing on pause, but I want to get another wine while you're talking to them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, let's just take a quick break.
No. Go ahead.
We're taking a quick break. We'll be right back.
Welcome back. Back from a break. So I had to go get another wine. I was so excited when I saw this wine. I had to make sure that these two had a chance to try it. So, Bubba, try it and tell me what you think.
It's more fruity, but it still has that fizz. I don't know why, but I like the fizz of it.
Mm-hmm.
What do you get, Uncle?
I taste more fruit than the first
The
one.
Moscato?
The Moscato's they're a bit more, lot of sweetness in that one.
Tuck right in there.
This one's more of I like the fruit.
Mm-hmm. So I didn't realize it till just now, but the other wine has more sweetness in it than this wine.
Right.
So it's because we had it first, it's going to taste, the second wine is going to taste a little drier, not as sweet as it normally would. So the example I would give you, if you drink a Coca-Cola tastes sweet, yeah? And then if you instead eat a Snickers bar first, and then you drink a Coca-Cola, the Coca-Cola tastes dry and bitter. So what I learned from that, whatever you drink second should be slightly sweeter than whatever you drank first. You understand? It's a progression. Same thing when you eat. You know, if you eat the sweet foods first, everything else is going to taste bitter and acidic and all that stuff. So, you know, it's just, you may not notice it overtly, but that's the way it kind of works. This wine is made from 2 different grapes, indigenous to an area in eastern France, up in the hills. So this is the general area where the Winter Olympics were always held every now and then in the foothills of the French Alps. And this is an appellation called Bouzet. Bouzet. And this is a family, and they have their vineyard is on one of the highest peaks of the area. And it's made in a fashion that they call traditionnel, which means method traditionnel, which is the traditional method way back when. And so, you know, one of the byproducts when you're fermenting wine is carbon dioxide. So essentially, they're just capping it and thereby trapping the carbon dioxide, just like in the first wine, so that the CO2 stays in solution. That's why it's fizzy for you. It's a very different style than when you make champagne. Okay, but these are just 2 different grapes, but it's made in that refreshing, you know, like biting into a cold apple, a cold persimmon in this case, you know, something that's, you know, makes you cool down if you're
Refreshing.
hot. And it's refreshing, and it's it's very uplifting.
And there is a lot to say about what his comment was on the bubbles, because that's a lot to do with this wine, is how it plays on your palate with the bubbles in the wine, right? A lot of people that we drink this with, like we had this guy, Chris Romelb, on, who's a young sommelier as well. And that's the thing that he comments on, is he likes to drink this because of what it does inside of your mouth. So that's
when you're
right, you're
hot,
spot on.
Yeah, when you're hot, it's a hot summer day. You have a bottle of this or the other wine in the cooler, ice cold. Pour it.
I'm off on Friday, so I know what I'm doing.
and I do think that he's right as far as the Moscato, even though it's sweet, it's still minerally, right?
Yes.
Where Patrick, the Botek, the Bouzet is a little bit more fruit forward in it.
So you got, so I'm one of those guys, like I told you about the Kula onion, right? I'm one of those guys that believes soil can greatly affect the wine.
Oh, yeah.
So the first wine is grown in more sand and what's called calcareous soils. Calcareous is white soils. So what that means, so you understand. So do things grow well by the beach? No.
No.
Sand is a low nutrient soil. It doesn't hold water. Limestone is a type of calcareous soil. So when you lime a baseball field or soccer field, what happens to the grass there? It don't grow. So these kind of soils are meager soils, not fertile soils. And so they affect the vine to grow differently. And when it's grown well, you can get that uplifting minerality from the soil that comes to the wine. That's what makes number 1 so unique. Wine number 2 is more rock. It's more darker rock. And there's some limestone underneath, but it's darker rock. And it's the topsoil is a lot of clay. So that creates a different kind of fruitiness, as you pointed out, and as opposed to the mineralness that you have in wine number one. It's just, to me, a question of the soil where it's grown in. And that's a very controversial subject right now. The scientists are saying, no. The root system cannot pick up all these trace elements and send it all the way to the vascular system up to the grapes. For me, I don't care what anybody says. I can, in a blind tasting, taste the wine from Chablis just because it smells like seashells. Even though there's no ocean around it for hundreds of miles, I could still smell the seashells because the soil has all these little seashells, fossilized seashells. It was one time under the ocean. So I believe that it does somehow get up there to the grapes, whether it's through the root system or just being surrounded by it. I don't know, but I can smell it. It's just like when you're at the beach. I can smell the sand baking in the sun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can smell the wet seaweed down there and the bushes over there. Same thing, I think that the surrounding environment can affect the wine. That's just my thought on it.
I also think that your palate's pretty on point.
Yeah,
Bubs, that you're dissecting those hints of those things in it. So
I just wanted to bring this for you so that you could have an alternative in case you get.
Is that something that you would go back to drinking?
Yeah.
The middle. What a lot of people comment on is it's a Diamond Head strawberry soda as a wine glass.
Yeah, it's like yeah. That's what it is.
Plays on your palate, the bubbles. Diamond Head strawberry soda has that stinging carbonation to it.
How about the boss? Does she like it?
He's gonna be teasing all that. Sorry. Is it good? You would drink that again? Yeah, she would drink that again.
Oh, that's good. Wish she'd give me stink eye.
You gotta stop soon.
Your hands are gonna start flying. She gets a little.
Oh my god.
That one gets a little violent when she gets
Yeah,
tipsy.
I like it, Dad. Even though my two girls graduate come here, man, you'd never find a sticker on any of our cars.
Okay. Yeah, let's
Food
do
next?
that.
So Uncle made this dish for us. If you want to talk about it a little bit.
In the meantime, let me pour the wine.
It's just something simple and sardines, onions, and tomatoes, and a little soil.
But all marinated together.
All
It's
marinated
been sitting on that
together.
plate for a bit.
That's it's pretty much what we eat at home while we was growing up with my dad, and simple stuffs. And that's why I said I was kind of curious to see what type of wine your dad would come up with that would go good with that. And like you said, the lady at the store asked you what you was doing, and she eats this too. So I know.
As soon as you were telling us about this in boxing class, I was like, oh, bad, we're gonna make an episode on this because this is like local grinds as local grinds can get right here, eating it over poi.
Well,
And when he was
usually you drink it with beer, right? And even like a can of corned beef hash, you just dump it out of the can, open the can, dump it out, cut some onions up, leave it over there, put some Hawaiian salt down on a plate, and just drink beer, easy. So
can.
yeah,
Oh, no can.
can.
Always can.
So I'm curious to see what your dad comes up with for something like this.
So when he said sardines, I said, sounds fishy to me.
And Bubs doesn't eat this, so what kind of poke did you bring?
Who doesn't eat that?
I don't eat that.
Really?
I'm very
Picky.
very picky. So
Wow.
maybe
okay.
most so like if I'm training, I'll probably only eat hamburger and
You have to
steak.
watch what you eat.
Well, yeah, because I have a sweet tooth. So like most of the time, like not today, but I'll have like a bag of chocolate with me, like M&M's,
Really?
Hershey's, yeah.
Ah.
So that or a bag of poi, something. So I just really gotta watch what I
He
eat.
also likes to eat baby food when he trains, too, just to have something in
That's
his
the
stomach.
secret.
That's a secret.
That's the secret when you weight cut is baby food.
But
Oh,
couple
that's
interesting
interesting.
things. When I was buying the cans, I bought 4 canned sardines, 2 onions, 4 tomatoes, and a thing of shoyu from Times before I came here. And the checkout lady was like, "Where are you going with that?" She's like, "But I grind this 3 times a week." And I was like, no, wait, I'm going to try this for the first time. I'm super excited. And I told her, I was like, me and my dad and our friends are going to be filming this wine podcast about it. I was like, we're going to be pairing wines. And the lady's like, she's like, come back and let me know what kind of wines to pair. So, I mean, I was like, holy shit, this is the first reaction, I mean, of us buying this thing, you know. I think that's
a good
cool.
story.
Yeah.
And it's just simple, simple poo-poo stuffs. When we grew up, you never knew anybody that fished or dive. You couldn't just go to the store and buy the poke, right? In the 70s and stuff. You needed to know somebody that did that. So that was your next.
It looks delicious, though.
That was your next thing right there, bro. We bought some poi from our nephew Sam Kapoy from Carlo Bombs, out in Miley. They have a
My bad.
They have a little shop over there that they use, and Boba can explain poi, the difference between this and the poi that you actually buy at the store.
Tell us. It's called poi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you pound them. Nah. But basically paella is like
I'm a little slow. All right.
got you with that one, yeah.
Yeah,
Little
that's
bit.
good.
But basically paella is like the it's probably like the stage right before poi. So it's the less water you add to it, the more thicker it kind of becomes. When you add more water, then it becomes more watery and more smooth and like so this is what paella looks like actually. So all it is like they can make it two certain ways. Like if it's clumpy, then the guy probably didn't pound it too good.
Yeah.
But then if it comes out to like this sticky texture, then the guy probably did pound it how it's supposed to be. But that's just the difference. The more water you add, the less water you add, it's gonna come out more sticky. The more water you add, the more watery it becomes. So that's just the difference between.
So
the
what
pois.
about aging it?
It doesn't even last that long in your guys' house.
Outside, yo, no.
No, it doesn't last.
Doesn't last.
They don't eat rice, bro.
No, but I just want to know. I mean, it changes as it sits there, right?
Yeah. So if you freeze it, it can last about maybe 6 months. But if it's out in the air, maybe if it's sat like this outside, then it's gonna last maybe about half a week, 2 weeks at the most before it starts becoming. So it's like almost like wine. It becomes sweet and
Then sour.
all the way to sour. Yeah.
Yeah.
But then some people enjoy the
Sourness, the tang.
sour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like the sourness. It start growing its own
Yeah.
color on the top.
Yeah.
Probiotic kind. Good for your stomach.
And
oh, wow, this looks action.
so how many day old do you like?
5, 6, maybe 7. But the poi don't last that long at our house.
Originally, I was supposed to bring
Dad.
the bowl from
Give
the
me your bowl.
house, but then my dad ate all of it, so we had to go and buy. So that was
So
that
he
little
grows his
backstory.
own poi.
His own taro.
I mean, his own taro. Sorry.
Well, he gets it from all the local
farmers.
farmers that have, and what they do at Carlo Bombs is they have these, and then they add coconut, candy, ice cream, just a different way of
Getting people to try it.
getting people to try it and try and be more modern with it, so that because
Yeah.
whenever you grew up over here, you give somebody not from Hawaii poi, it's super plain, right?
Yeah.
That's why they said that usually you put sugar
Yep.
in the poi when you're a baby, so that the baby can
Get used to
Can we
it.
sample
used to
this
it.
right now, too?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll scoop it
So
with this
I don't
fork right
think
here.
there might be 2 different varieties. I'm not too sure what they are, but then you can just see in the color
Yeah.
already. So I'm gonna drink more wine.
So you would
See, so like with this, you don't. The Moscato and the other wine would be too sweet. You want to do something a little drier. That's why this is a Riesling from Germany. Okay. Otherwise, it would be too sweet with the food.
Oh, this is a different one.
Yeah.
Another one.
Yeah. So, no.
the anchovy. Wow, as soon
That's
as he was
sardine, that's not
I mean,
anchovy.
Sardine. He does this with canned salmon too. When he was explaining it to us in class, I was like, "Oh, my mouth was watering." I was like, "I would have whacked."
Who
that
was
right
explaining
now.
him?
Uncle, yeah.
Oh. Well, he
yeah.
teaches class too.
I
No, he just comes.
go down there and talk story with the boys.
I need somebody in the zipper lane so I can get in. So I bring my family members.
That's the only reason his mom and I come to Kahala. Really.
If I went to Kahala, they would say burglar.
And Uncle's there to tell us when we're not turning over our feet on our hooks and stuff. When the class is too big and Bubba can't watch everybody. Oh, that's all I know about.
Whew. I'd like to try that. Where'd you buy these tomatoes from, Cully?
From Times. It's pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
Is the Riesling going to work with the poke too?
Yeah, you try.
Okay. I'm going to whack this first. This, I mean, I want to hear what you guys think
Try
about
that, please.
this pairing first, but.
You dive.
Nope. I surf, but
It's a little bit more tangy,
I don't dive.
It's not as sweet.
It works though.
It works.
Yeah.
It's not as
You try the
sweet.
Moscato with it again, or that Bouze, and you'll see it's too sweet for the food.
Try this one with it. No. Just to compare. I might have to stock up on sardines at the house. I would eat this all the time.
You know, when you taste sardines from the Mediterranean, and they pack them in their special olive oils. You know, every family has their own olive oil, huh? Oh my God, it's another experience. The sardines, serious.
Fuck, that is good.
See, goes to me. You know, it's refreshing the palate. You know, so shoyu is salty, yeah? Mm-hmm. What's salty and spicy and sweet food does not like, what it clashes with? It clashes with oak, alcohol, and bitterness. It makes all those components taste super alcoholic, super bitter, or whatnot. So this wine is only 10.5 alcohol, not 12, not 13. So it's more tempered, and it can go with dishes that have shoyu or chili pepper water or stuff like that. You know, it's not better or worse, and you don't have to think about it. It's just pleasurable when you drink it together. That's the main thing. It's just you're enjoying yourself. It makes your food taste better, makes you happy. You wash down. You know, in France, southern France, like that, they gulp wine, just like we gulp fruit punch, soda pop, iced tea, etc. You know how we gulp it. That's how they gulp wine. It's a way of life. I truly believe that back in the old days, water wasn't safe to drink. Wine, because it has some alcohol inside, was safer in terms of bacteria like that. So that's why I think people grew up drinking wine. It was a way of life for them.
Oh, that goes together. That's this one and the fish.
Yeah, no, this one.
The Riesling and the fish?
Yeah.
That one, yeah, it's good. But I like what Khalil's dad said. I'd rather gulp the wine too.
Wow. It's my new thing right now, I think.
What did you tell your auntie when we throw away all the rice? Throw away all the rice. We're going poi now.
I mean, we don't really cook rice at our house, but I have Japanese, but I pound rice. I just don't cook it at home. But I don't know.
I cannot live without rice. You know. So my wife buys this rice. You know, in Kaka'ako, there's this small little store called the Rice Factory, and they bring in all these different strains of Japanese rice from different prefectures. What do you call it?
Prefecture?
Yeah, prefecture or whatever. I don't know. Different areas. And Niigata, for instance, or, you know. Oh, man, what a difference, man. So unreal. And they're more heirloom heritage rice, not just, you know, in all facets of our life now, they have the kind of more product that's grown for more production.
Mass production.
Yes. You know, it's more hardy, it's disease resistant, like that. But what you're losing is, you try to look at apples. You go to the store now, only get Fiji apple, green apple. There's only a few kinds of apples now, right? Delicious, Fiji.
Granny.
Yeah, Granny Smith, that's the one. And All the heirloom apples are gone now. Same thing with pineapple, here in Hawaii. What's being grown today is very different than what was grown before.
Yep.
My parents made me work in a pineapple field. I worked in a pineapple field for 6-7 years. They wanted me to understand the value of money. So Wahiawa for 2 years, and then Maui for like 6 years, 5 years, 6 years, working pineapple field. You know what's the other benefit from that? So when you work with workers, you have 2 pails for lunch. One is your rice. The other one's your protein. And all your protein, everybody's protein goes in the middle.
Everybody just share.
And you just keep your rice and you just share.
Like potluck.
No, but because it was Laotian, Thai, Filipino, all these different races, right? Wow, man. I got to try all kinds of food, man. That was pretty interesting.
What was your favorite preparation that you tried from somebody else's lunchbox?
All kinds. What they did with fish was pretty amazing. The different races had different preparations of fish. And the other one that people really worked hard on was 2 different vegetables was green beans, and the other one was, what do you call that stuff? I can't remember now. The other one it's kind of tastes like a squash. It's slimy though. What's it called?
Kabocha.
It's like okra, but it's something like that.
Bitter melon.
Yeah, bitter melon. Yeah. Not what he said, okra Winfield. Hey, squash that idea.
I love bitter melon. Okay, can you break this down why you chose Riesling for these? You kind of did earlier, but...
I mean, it's just show you, and so that's salty. And this one has a little bit of sweetness, and so you need something lower in alcohol. You need something fruit, something to keep your palate fresh and alive. That's why I chose this wine. In a store, $13.99. I just bought it at Fujioka's, I think. $13.99. No. I bought it at Arfield Einheim. $13.99.
You were talking about that earlier. You know that's something that opened your eyes, is that you don't gotta drop big dollars on.
Oh yeah. Ever since I watched all the podcasts, and I watch at least one every night until we came here.
That's cool, yeah.
And yeah, your dad always says, and it's pretty surprising to the guests too, because they're thinking they're drinking like $40, $50, $60, maybe more, but it's not. He's telling them
Like that first bottle you gave me, when I was trying to look at the price, cause I was like, I'm gonna go get it for the fights, and then my girlfriend actually searched it up, and she's like, babe, don't buy it. It's like $132. So I was like, you can get that from? It was on Google. I went to the store. It was like $15.
Yeah.
So you know what's amazing about that? So, because we made our own wines for our restaurants, just a bottle itself, empty bottle, $1.50 to $2 a bottle. Okay? Now the label, depending on your run, anywhere from $3.50 to $4.50 for one label. Depending on how many you print. The cork or the closure, 75 cents to $1.25. Now, in addition to that, you have the box, you have the shipping, you have all the taxes. So you're into the wine already, $12, $13, $14 already, not including growing the grapes, making the wine. You know what I mean? 365 days a year.
Yeah.
So to find a wine realistically $15, that's heirloom and all that stuff, even more so than the average wine. And then for it to be shipped here in Hawaii, temperature control, it's not an easy thing to do.
Or a cheap thing to do.
Yeah, so that's why finding something, when I say $13.99, I'm thrilled because I know I'm getting a really good product all the way here in Hawaii in temperature controlled containers at $13.99 in the store. I think that's a steal.
So he keeps saying temperature control because that's a big thing for him. Like if a lot of people will comment like, oh, I tried this wine in Italy or France or wherever it's from, and then I try to buy it in Hawaii and it tastes totally different. A lot of the times he's like, it probably wasn't stored temperature controlled. And what he compares it to, in shipping containers, it can get up to like 110 degrees and those things, and they're sitting in there for weeks. So if you put a piece of fish in the oven at 110 degrees, it'll be cooked in 10 minutes. So if you can imagine what it does to a bottle of wine over weeks or months of not being stored
Makes
properly.
sense, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's why, it takes, depends on where you're coming, how you're coming. If you're coming through the Panama Canal, it's 3 to 5 weeks. Those containers get to be 110 degrees inside. That's why the wine is baking. That's what people don't understand. So temperature control, of course, is going to be expensive. But that's how you keep the wines fresh like this. That's why I only go to certain stores and I only buy certain kind of wines. I know those wines that I want to buy that are fresh.
I mean,
I gotta go shop with your dad.
bruh, get his number and FaceTime him.
That's what everybody does, they're not with the cameras, with the phone. See, I'm not very smart on all this stuff. They FaceTime all the bottles. I say, oh, you buy that one. Because then I can see the price.
We should take him to the store, though. We'll
Yeah.
come meet him. We'll come meet you guys out here on a Sunday or something.
It's funny because I think when I grew up, I think that was like the no for actually trying to enjoy wine, like what you guys are trying to do, get the younger generation to enjoy wine, was that the price or you have to have a certain status to, drink wine, enjoy wine, right? It never really went down to the Hawaiians down in Waianae or Kalihi or something like that, because when I was growing up, my dad had a lot of wines, and he'll drink wine every night. So he'll always have 1 or 2 glasses before he went to bed every single night. And we went to Napa Valley a bunch of times while we grew up as kids, but we never ever paid attention, right? We just ran around, but he went there because he knew what he wanted, and he enjoyed the wine. And now I'm watching this guy right here, and it's just pretty funny to see. And I wish I would have paid attention.
He said he wished he would have. I guess the dad had a wine collection. You said,
Yeah, my dad had a whole bunch of wines. I wish I would have paid attention, man. Maybe my brother and sister scored some good bottles. Maybe they walked away with some good bottles that we didn't even know about.
Yeah. Can you imagine? I mean, this one guy found his father passed away, and he wasn't into wine. So there was 4 siblings, so they were trying to sell the collection entirety, and this was like maybe 15 years ago. This was in San Francisco, and there was these Magnum. Magnum is equivalent to 2 bottles, and they had like about 8 of them. And so they were talking about trying to open one just so we could try it and see if it's still good or whatever, right? It was 1976 wine. And that wine, when they looked it up, was $20,000 for that bottle. And this kid didn't even know what he had. Just like this other lady, your mother wanted me to talk to them, and her husband passed away, and they have a cellar like that. So I hear that story a lot. This was just in the past couple of weeks, and they wanted to donate it for some charity or something like that. The wine collection. So I was sitting there going, like, what kind of wines? And so they put on this other guy who was telling me, really down-to-earth guy, really nice guy, and he was telling me about all these wines. And, I love hearing from people like that, right? The oldest wine they had was like 1893 Chateau Lafite. That wine is another one that's $20,000, $30,000, $40,000.
even that old.
Well, I don't know if it's good anymore, but the very fact that you have something from back then, I mean, just like that bottle right there, you try to look at that thing. That thing is from way back when, even though it's made by Jim Beam, that's an antique. I mean, it's worth something just for the empty bottle, I mean, so, think about that. Think about that glass. That glass bottle was made in the 1800s,
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah. Oh, I think that's right. That's the great part of this journey and coming over here is learning and trying to think back of what was the roadblocks for my generation or the generation right after me. And I think that was some of the generation is that you never have somebody like your dad and you doing this podcast to actually educate. Like, what's your dad, a Somali or whatever that word is? I didn't even know. She was like, you got to get that correct. I was like, I just know I call him the guru. You watch all my posts. I'm going on Uncorked and I'm going to be with the wine guru in the state of Hawaii, boys.
Hey, you know what's so funny? There was another famous wine guy in Hawaii when I was growing up in my 20s. He never knew. He could never remember my name when we were growing up. So he used to call me Bubba all the time.
Bubba?
Yeah. Really? Yeah. Every time I see him, he goes, "Hey, Bubba." And so to some people, my name was Bubba.
I think I just got this nickname because my mom said that they wanted me to try and grow up and like get big, but it just never happened.
Good, but you don't want to get big when you grow up.
I know. Jeez.
No, but I mean, like, it's so educational to actually watch the podcast and learn. I mean, even like I watched a segment with like you take uncork the bottle, open it up, and put it into a
Decanter,
the canter and all of that stuff. I was like, wow.
I think that's cool that out of all the guests that we've had, you guys are probably I don't want to call anybody else out.
So all the hours that I've been training and like I've been training you guys, we've been studying.
Yeah. The preparation that it takes. I think that's why there's a lot of synergy, like I was saying earlier about.
I mean, it's because this whole time I watch it, I'm like, man, why would they invite me and you? I'm watching our restaurant guys, wine.
That's
wine
the point,
guys,
though.
and I'm like, so man, I better study before I go on this thing.
No,
I
man.
know what I
the
do.
The point is, rather than concentrating on wine, it's concentrating on enjoyment more. It's two different things. I want to share this thought with you, though. That kid that was opening a bottle of wine and decanting the wine, his name is Chris Ramel. He's born and raised on Kauai. Okay, so the Master Sommelier program, there's 4 levels. You got to pass 1 level, then you apply, and then you have to go wait and take 2nd level, 3rd level, and then finally the 4th level, yeah? So in 2016, that young boy from Kauai, 2016 for level 3, he had the highest score in the world.
Wow.
Not Hawaii, not the United States, the world.
It's awesome.
Can you imagine that? That is mind-boggling to me.
Because once I
Hawaii is a powerhouse, bro, of everything now.
Yeah.
Bro, once I start washing dishes, I gotta go watch that video on how to wash these dishes good on these cups. How to polish the. Yep.
Hey, you know something? At our restaurant, they all know I wash dishes. I have no problem. I love it. As a matter of fact, when Cully wanted to work with us, I told him you got to go polish glasses. Crickets. He don't like. How long? For how long? For how long? I said, I'll tell you when.
But hey, to be fair, I was like 10 years old, bro. And they would have these kaiseki dinners, and we'd be getting smashed. And he'd pay me $3 for every rack of wine glasses that I would polish.
$10.
No, $3.
$10.
$3 per rack, bro. I remember this. So they would have, one of the last times I did it, I was like, fuck, bro. It's like a weekend, and like all my friends are having fun. And like, yeah, I probably should have stuck with that, looking back on it now. But we got crushed one night for these kaiseki dinners. I had racks stacking up, and waiters were coming back and like, I need you to polish faster because we need these racks back. And I'm like, I got to do a good job first, because I'm not going to hand you back something that's not polished. Then my uncle Randy comes back there, and he was like one of the guest sommeliers, like helping my dad pour wines and service and stuff like that.
He was the wine cellar master at the Halekulani Hotel.
So he comes back there at like 10:30 or maybe like 9:30, I don't even know when. And we're power ready. I was power, but I still had shit to do. And he comes back there. He's like, "Pa, let's get out of here. I'm gonna take you to go get something to eat." Thinking that like, oh, it's okay that I leave, I get a phone call from him, and they're all bummed. He's like, "Pa, the servers were gonna tip you extra money. Like, I can't believe you left them." Blah blah. I was like, I was just following my uncle for go get some food. I didn't know that. Those are the expectations, But
So my whole thing, if you want to get into your field, you got to start at the bottom, man. Pay your dues, right? And if you only temporary, or you look at it as stepping stone and you don't embrace it, the kind, you know what I'm saying? The other people are going to look at you and they're going to sit there going, shit, man, you know what I mean? You gotta pay your
it's like
dues.
my dad, like with the security. So I was probably about 10, and he does the water patrol for like the surf contests. So part of the job is you have to go out there, you have to watch the surfers, and then you gotta make sure that people don't come in the lineup during the contest. So on his lunch breaks, he would send me out, and I'm 10, a little short kid. and then I have to go out there and tell these surfers that
To
they
beat
can't
it,
surf.
yeah.
So I would make big hand motions to try and look like I was intimidating, so my dad would see from the land like, oh, he's doing a good job, but I was actually, sir, you gotta go that way. You can't surf here. And then when they would talk back, and I would just get shocked because I was like, oh, it's a man telling me what to do. I would just paddle in and be like, Dad, the guy's not going. And the guy gotta come all the way out. And then he's more mad because he gotta stop, he gotta get wet again, he gotta come out, and now the guy's ass is just gonna get kicked, and he doesn't care. And then I would just sit back on the sand and just be like, oh, I'm done working. Go run away. Go play in the sand or
Like
something.
your dad said, I'm a true believer of that too. So I can work WSL, get the best events, you eat the good food, you stay in the $1 million homes. But I like going back to the amateur contest where you're under a 10 by 10 tent. Breakfast is from Jack in the Box out of a package.
Rainbows Drive-In.
Lunch is Rainbows Drive-In or LNL Drive-In.
That's
You don't got a
cool, bro.
buffet, but it like you said, it brings you back to reality, like where you started, and you never forget where you started from.
That's right.
But it also shows that the guys that work around you in your little circle, that hey, the boss, you're not afraid for.
Yeah.
Go
Get
back
his
to the
hands
bottom
dirty,
and get his
yeah.
hands dirty and work again. You know?
So if you are a dishwasher, or if you decide that you want to do, the job that nobody else wants to do, if you charge it and do it the best that you can, and you reinvent what people think of that position, they're gonna look at you like, shit, man, that guy. When I worked with him, bruh, he was like, Guantanamo, you know what I mean? He was like, dude, that's the kind of people you want to work. I mean, that's the kind of credibility you want, right? And that you went full on at no matter what you did, right?
It's like you can show somebody something, but you got to find your own niche, right? You do what you think is best for you, right? And I can just tell you this is what you got to do, this is how you got to do it. But if it doesn't work for you, then you do it your way. But just make sure at the end of the day that you get it done.
And then at that point, nothing's above you or below you. You're on the same page as everybody else.
But it's
Same
really
level.
interesting. You see some of the North Shore guys now. Like I was watching all these things yesterday, and you see them now. Their kids are 5, 6, 7 years old, and every day they're taking them down to Ali Beach in Haleiwa, and you see all these kids surfing together. It's a new gang.
Yep.
Their fathers were
The gang.
the gang, and then now you have, Sean Moody and Joel Centeo and Fred and all these guys. Their kids are now all surfing together every day, and then you see the fathers patiently nurturing them or whatever. So it's kind of like going back to ground zero after you've been all
Full
this thing.
circle.
Yeah, so even like I had a group of all my cousins. We all grew up together. We all grew up surfing in Macau, and then we kind of all went our separate ways when we got to an age where I kind of found out young that surfing just wasn't for me. So like they were still trying to pursue it, and like my dad was taking them to all these contests. Then most of them didn't work out, but then I kind of found my own niche. But then like how my dad said, stay grounded. Even though we spent years away from each other, like now when we see each other and like split moments, we'll just it's like we never left each other.
Yeah.
But then that's like the thing too, is like if there's one big lesson that my dad ever taught me is always coming back down, always knowing where you come from, coming back. Cause then for me, the journey for at least myself, it's kind of been amazing because since I was maybe about sixth grade, maybe I was already catching the bus to go. So I'd catch the bus after school. I would go into Kapolei, which is about a 20-minute drive. I would sit at McDonald's for maybe an hour, and that's just by myself. I would do all my homework. Then I would have to if I didn't have my skateboard, I would have to walk maybe about a mile down, wait till the gym opens. Then I would stay at the gym till probably from 4:30 maybe till 9 o'clock.
At
until
10
it
years
comes back.
old?
Yeah.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
And I was just dedicated, like whatever it took to go train. No matter if I had
Train
to go
for what? Train for what?
Jiu-jitsu. So my background is actually jiu-jitsu. So like going back to like in the beginning before we took the break and like how I started is that when I was growing up with my auntie and my uncle showed me all the Rocky movies. So I wanted to. At first, I wanted.
Adrian!
Rocky!
Adrian, I did it!
Rocky! I watched all of them. I wanted to be a boxer. That's what I wanted to. After I watched Rocky, I wanted to be a boxer. My mom shut that down. She said, "No way, you're getting punched in the face." So then the next best thing was jiu-jitsu. My dad came home one day, and he was like, your mom doesn't want you to box, but we found this other thing. It's called jiu-jitsu, and I didn't know what it was. So we ended up going to a class. The first class, I got hooked. I still remember that day. I ended up tapping out maybe 3 out of the 4 kids I went with, and all moves that I learned from WWE wrestling. Like, because I used to watch that, so I was like, oh, I get to do the moves that they did. And it ended up working, and after that, I just got hooked. So since that day, whatever it took to get to the gym, no matter if it was I had to walk, I had to take the bus, if they had to drop me off, as long as I was in the gym, I was happy. No matter what, if I had to train. So I would come. It got to a point where I would come early. I would teach the kids class, and I was a kid already. I would do my class, which is the teens class, and I would hop in with the adults. And these guys were like way old. These are like men in their prime, and I would that's all I wanted to do was just do jiu-jitsu. And then 3 months, maybe 2-3 months into it, I took my first tournament, and that was an experience because that's like the first time I ever did cut weight in my life. And I was already skinny.
Yeah.
You know what happened the first time I ever did cut weight? My parents ate in front of me. They took me to my sister's dinner, her volleyball dinner, and it was just like this. I had fish, I had steak, there was everything, and I just couldn't touch it. And then they just.
Well, your daughter played volleyball.
Yeah.
For Kamehameha.
Yeah.
Until she was a sophomore, and then we hooked up with Kevin Wong at Spike and Surf.
Oh yeah, he's an outrigger guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give credit right now. Away the baby. So that's one of the nickname for her. If it all went well, she should have been the boy, because she's bigger than me. She's strong. She's not faster than me. I have better cardio than her, but all in all, whatever sports it came down to that my dad was good at. So even if she played football, she would have been better.
He played football for University of Oregon.
I went to University of Southern Oregon. I graduated. So I went to Pac-5. We won the purple in 85, right? We beat Y&I 50.
Who was the quarterback then?
Gary Gabriel.
Donnie Ma was your running back?
Donnie Ma was when I was sophomore.
That was my coach for JV.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, but like your dad goes back. I mean, everything starts from the bottom, right? I mean, you gotta learn how to sweep the floor before you can actually become the manager.
I think the dedication though that you see now.
Nowadays, kids, and I was just telling these guys, the family driving down here, that man, a couple of my friends got released because they used some old school tactics out on a job site, and nowadays you can't because the kids don't got thick skin no more. Yeah. And they take a lot of stuff personal, you know,
or liability or anything. He tells me that all the time.
It's super crazy.
You know, nowadays, it just takes a youngster, one mistake, and it's going to affect the rest of their life. Like if you get in a beef with somebody at work, or you call him out, you threaten him, whatever, sexual harassment, anything, it'll cost you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just a different world now. Anyway, we're getting off the subject here.
Should we wrap it up?
Yep.
Thank you guys. I think that was a really good episode. Yeah. I think that, like you see, the ending thing about the dedication that he's on. I mean, he's on a mission right now, and he's young, you know. So
he's got the right perspective, though, because you know, someone just told me today. It's so interesting. Someone reminded me today. Isn't it important for us to know where we came from in order for us to better understand where we need to be and where we need to go and how? And I was sitting there thinking about that. I don't think people think about that, but he's got it. Yeah. At 21 years old, he's got it. You know, so that's very refreshing for me.
Yeah, I'm just trying to be my best.
Oh, you're doing it.
I'm just happy that I just have a good, solid family that they really support me.
That's so important.
Yeah, for sure. What else parent would say? You got 5 years to make your dreams come true. But I mean, I told them since I was young that I wanted to fight and that I wanted to do this for a living. And then,
do you fight?
I fight and I do jiu-jitsu. So
he fights in the cage, MMA.
Yeah, I fight MMA in the cage and I do.
So you get hit?
I get hit.
Yeah, he's 2-0 right now as the amateur.
Bro, I'll send you his videos. I watch them all the time.
I know, but you know that. Well, it's your life. I'm not gonna say.
But no, honestly, all I can say is that, you know, with my parents' support and stuff, that I know I can do this because when I was 15, I won my first world title in jiu-jitsu. So after
world title.
That was I was 15 years old when I won my first world title. That was my first time ever leaving the island.
At what weight class?
119. 119. So
Good,
I
great
went
for
up-
you.
Thank you. So
And
I went
all
up there
age groups?
myself. It was all age groups.
Men.
This was kids, so it was like
Juvenile.
kids my age. It was juvenile, so all the kids, well, not kids now, but
Still, yeah.
the guys competing now that's at the top of the level. I was competing against them at the time, and then right out of high school, I told them I wanted to fight, and then
Ah.
right now we just since COVID and stuff.
Right,
we
trains
just-
3 times a day.
Well,
You want to
Crazy.
hear? You want to hear a normal day?
No. You're gonna make me feel. You're gonna make me feel bad.
We'll wrap it up and we'll talk story. You want to close it out?
Yeah. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No,
man.
I appreciate you guys coming down
I
here.
appreciate you guys
Sharing your
inviting
insight.
us, guys.
You know, it's
Really.
just it meant a lot to us. I learned a lot today, actually. So to all of you, I hope you learned a thing or two today, and I hope you enjoyed yourself as these two gentlemen shared their insight, wisdom, and experiences with you all. Stay tuned next week. We look forward to seeing you. Aloha, everybody.